Hello fellow adventurer and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Aldrich and I would love to be your park guide as we explore the nation's finest national parks, forests, and wildlands. The first park that I want to share with you guys is the park that's closest to my home, and that's Sunset Crater National Monument. Sunset Crater Volcano is located about 15 minutes outside of Flagstaff, Arizona, making it very accessible. This park is unique because of its geological and volcanic activity that formed the Sunset Crater. It also has some anthropologic aspects to it, as well as beautiful nature and hiking. Speaking of hiking, there are 5 major trails in Sunset Crater Volcano National Monument. The first trail that you're going to come to is called the A'a Trail. It's a funny name, but it's Hawaiian and it represents a type of lava that you'll see there. This trail is a very short trail. It's 0.2 miles, but the terrain is somewhat treacherous. It's cinders and jagged volcanic rock. It's still very passable, not a very hard hike, but if you have mobility or balance issues, I may not go for this one. Across the way, you'll find the trailhead for Lenox Trail. Lenox Trail, although not the longest trail in the park, is rated as the most difficult. The reason for this being the cinders that make up the path. It's very hard to walk on, it's like sand. Add to that an elevation gain, and it can be pretty strenuous. The next trail that you might find along the way is the Lava's Edge Trail. This trail is the longest in the park. It goes through both Forest Service land and Park Service land. For this hike, it'll be about 2.5 hours and it's about 3.4 miles. The next trail you're going to come to is the Lava Flow Trail. I really like this trail because it's a great family-friendly trail. The first 0.25 miles makes a loop and it's all paved and it's very accessible even for those with mobility issues, which I love because the parks are for everybody. After you get past the first 0.25 miles, if you decide to continue on, you're going to be back on those cinders and jagged rocks. You'll go over lava flows and see a lot of cool lava formations. The next trail that comes off of that one is Bonito Vista Trail. This trail is also completely handicapped accessible and about 0.25 miles. Entrance fees. Regular private vehicles will cost $25 for entrance. This covers you for a 7-day period for all the occupants of the vehicle. Now, if you're a pedestrian or a bicyclist, it's $15 for admission. If you're on a motorcycle, $20. You can buy a Flagstaff annual pass if all you go to is the Flagstaff area parks, and that'll cost $45. That covers the Sunset Crater and Wapatki National Monument. At Walnut Canyon, it covers up to 4 adults. Children are free. You can buy an annual pass that covers all the national parks in the United States for $80. If you ask me, this is the best deal, and if you're like me and you love national parks, you're gonna get your money's worth if you use this option. Lodging. Although there isn't any lodging on the park, right outside the park on the National Forest Service land, there are campgrounds. The Bonito campground facilitates both RVs and tents. Each campground also has a fire pit, but because of fire restrictions, sometimes they're not able to be used. If you're not into the tent camping, obviously Flagstaff is nearby and there's a plethora of hotels to stay at there, as well as the ambience of the town, lots of breweries, lots of places to eat, and if you're not into roughing it, I would suggest staying in Flagstaff in a hotel. Recreation. On the park, the thing to do is hike. There's no fishing and there's no hunting at the park, unfortunately. No horseback riding. Nearby, there's plenty of Forest Service land for horseback riding. If you're into four-wheeling or off-highway vehicles, there's the Cinder Hills Recreation Area that is right nearby. So you can stay at the campground at Bonito Campground with your four-wheeler and take it right out to Cinder Hills and visit the park while you're not riding. Wildlife. You're likely to encounter some form of wildlife while you're at this park. There's plenty of birds, eight-bird squirrels, and larger mammals that you may encounter. In the park there are antelope or pronghorn, elk, mule deer, the occasional mountain lion, and maybe even a black bear. What to bring? Well, obviously this depends on what you're planning on doing at the park. The first thing you're gonna need is a good pair of walking shoes. I always recommend a boot or something over the ankle just to prevent injury and give you more support. I always bring a backpack along with me with extra things, first aid, etc. I would take a backpack like my REI backpack that I have. I love this thing. It's just the right size for things like this. The other thing you're going to want to bring is layered clothing. This is at altitude. It's about 7,000 to 8,000 feet, so temperatures change rapidly. It gets very cold at night and then it can get very warm in the afternoon. Another thing I would always recommend bringing is water. Bring a water bottle, bring it pre-filled so you don't have to look around for water. Another thing I would recommend bringing is some sort of food. There's limited food options that you can pay for at the visitor center, but if you have any sort of sensitivities or allergies, your choices are going to be kind of limited. The other thing you want to bring is a cap or some sort of sun protection, because although the weather may feel nicer up here because it's colder, you can still get very sunburned. Everything can be done in this park in about 4 hours if you really hurry, or you can pick and choose and still get a pretty good experience in that amount of time. But one thing that this park cannot be beat is the night sky viewing and stargazing. This park is a certified international dark sky park, which means that the light pollution is kept to a minimum. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video on Sunset Crater National Monument. I hope you found this useful, and please subscribe because there's going to be more coming your way.